Child marriages are a global epidemic, according to the advocacy group Girls Not Brides. 15 million girls are married before the age of 18 every year. That is 28 girls per minute. Now you're going to meet a girl who changed the law on all of that in Tanzania, practically single-handed. Rebecca Gayumi successfully petitioned the High Court, and she's here to tell her story. Rebecca Gayumi, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Christian.
Did it ever affect you? Were you ever threatened to be married off before 18?
And I'll probably say, fortunately, I was not one of the victims of child marriage when I was growing up. I was very lucky, actually, to grow up in a family where my mom actually understood the importance of sending me to school. But I've seen it from my friends. After finishing primary education, some of my friends did not continue to further education because they had to get married.
And what was that like? Because what age was that? Did your friends start sort of dropping out of school and into marriage?
So that is like 13, 14.
13 or 14?
Yes, because that's the age in Tanzania where most students or pupils in primary school would have finished primary education.
And
so
then
like
off they went?
14. Yeah. Unfortunately, I had like few of my colleagues at the school where I went to, they even got pregnant when we were still in primary school, and they couldn't continue with the education. And I had similar cases as well when I was in secondary school. I had few of my friends who had to drop out of school because they got pregnant and they had to get married.
Some people say it's cultural, others say it's traditional.
Yes.
But in some countries, including Tanzania, it's actually written into law that girls under the age of 18 can be married.
Yes. Actually, Christian, to be honest, it's both. Even in my country, it's not just about the law. Law was just one of the driver, but we still have very deep-rooted culture, custom, and tradition, which is still believe that, a young girl will just get married, one day, and it's not good to invest in her education. And if she's just at home, the better way to invest in her, is to find a husband who will marry her. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about what exactly you did, because it took a few years. It wasn't when you were 13 that you started this. You actually went to school, you learned law, you are a law graduate.
Yes.
What did you decide to do?
What I actually decided to do, Christian, after I have seen myself and been part of the advocacy, that I had actually seen little progress in changing this law, in January this year, I decided to petition to change the Tanzania Marriage Act, which actually allowed for girls as young as 14 to get married.
14?
Yes, to get married. And I was actually very happy in July, 8th July this year. The High Court of Tanzania actually took a very bold decision and said that, this law is actually unconstitutional, and it actually lost its purpose, and that the minimum age will be 18 for both boys and girls.
Because before, boys had been 18.
Yes, boys had been 18. Yeah.
I mean, a young girl like yourself, you're not even a practicing lawyer. How on earth did you have the guts, the presence of mind to do this?
Some people actually think maybe we had like people behind us, we had like maybe big organization behind us, but no, Christian. It was just young, committed advocates and a fellow lawyer who believed that, we had to be the voice of so many other young girls in our country. But I was actually very surprised, that this panel of judges were actually very bold enough to say, we are protecting the rights, we are protecting the fact that young girls can actually have a right to determine their own future.
What's next? I mean, it's enacted into law, it has to be implemented. What happens next?
We are starting to educate the community, because that's where the work is. And even when I won, I said, I don't believe winning the case will end child marriage. We have more work to do, and we have more work to do in the community.
You look at this picture and you see a little girl who's dressed in a Western-style wedding dress and a veil, and it looks very beautiful, but it's not for them. What did your 13, 14-year-old friends tell you? What did they suffer when they were forced into marriage?
I definitely know for sure they are not happy. They wish life could be different, and they always tell me, especially for the ones who have kids, we will make sure that, you know, our kids will not have the same story like the one we have gone through.
And who is it that they marry? I mean, 13, 14-year-olds, they're marrying people double or triple their age.
So I'll give you an example. The day that I won the case, I had few girls traveling from Shinyanga, the region with highest incidence in my country, and they actually came to Dar es Salaam to wait for the judgment. And I was talking to one of them, and she was telling me she was actually married to, you know, an old man, 60 years old man, and she was the third wife. And at the age of 12, she was already pregnant. Unfortunately, she was so beaten, you know, she got a miscarriage.
Beaten?
Yes, with the husband. So she couldn't have the baby. But later, at age 14, she conceived again, and she had a baby. That baby she has until now. Now she's 16. But she was rescued by one of the organizations I'm working with in Shinyanga, and now she's gone back to school. She wants to be a teacher.
And just finally, you know, many people say, oh, this is culture. This is their culture. Do you accept that? And also, it's surprising to hear that it happens here in the West as well.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think among so many things that we tend to be proud of, I don't believe this is, we can really say this is our culture. You know, marrying off children. I don't believe that is something that we should be proud of. You know, I very much believe in culture. And I think this is not the right thing as a society we should embrace, you know, as something that we are proud of. You know, we should probably take it more as a harmful custom and tradition, because as a country, as a society, we must think keenly how to invest in the largest population of our country. For us to attain our potential, our economic potential, we have to invest in the largest population. And if we're not
investing... Which is the women.
Yes, which is the women, which is the girls. So if we're not investing in this population, we won't attain our full economic potential. And I just think it's definitely a smart move to make, and we shouldn't hide behind culture. I definitely think we should not hide behind culture. Yeah.
Rebecca Gayumi, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you so much, Christiane, for having me.